going out to them, but he's going to be busy. So we are really excited to come together and share. Obviously, we shared last week, or I don't know, what day is it? Last week. And we just sort of shared about how to fill your cup during this time and how to look after your relationship, because emotions, stress levels, money issues, everything is heightened at the moment. And like I said last week, as much as we love our partner, we probably didn't expect to be living with them 24/7 with kids and all the things. I know some partners are still working, or you might still be working, but yeah, so we wanted to jump on and just share, I guess, some tips and some strategies about how to navigate this time. Obviously, why we created this member hub, Self-Care Saves Member Hub, is to really help our mums during this time, when we're all in ISO and we're a bit disconnected, and like I said, anxiety levels are a bit heightened. So, but one of those is obviously looking after your relationship with all the extra stresses that are going on board. So what we're sharing about, we actually in our relationship, and again, another day we'll actually share our proper story about like how we got together and all of that, but that's for another day. But what we'll be sharing about today, we actually learnt this. We went on a marriage retreat, and which, how long ago?
It was long
ago.
I
think we had one child. I don't think we
that's
had
right.
really...
He was like 6 months old.
Yeah, he was really little. And it was a weekend away. We actually went away with a group of other couples, and we really just spent the time just investing in our marriage. We had psychologists speak to us. We had, people who were really trained in this area. And I think, like anything, and this is our heart of Mums Who Wine and Dads Who Wine, is to actually take yourself away or give yourself that time to invest in your self-care and your mental health. And that's what we wanted to create for you guys with this, and to share and just to help support your relationship and, where it's at the moment, whether it's like killing each other or you're loving each other and this extra time you're getting together. I won't say what we're doing. No, for the most part, it's good.
Okay, cool. So we're going a different way for a second, eh?
All right. So, was there anything you wanted to share before we jump into it?
Hi.
This is Mark.
Good to be here again, not behind the camera as usual. So, been loving seeing everything that's been going on. It's just awesome to be a little part of it as well.
Oh, he's a big part of it. He, like, Amanda actually I put something on my personal one. She's like, who's going to mute people and look after the little kids if you're here? Because if you see like our videos, he's like spotlighting people and he's muting and he's like, okay, you're on in 10 seconds. It's like this full production, which we've created in like 3 weeks. So thank you for supporting it. So I guess we just dive in.
Sure.
So 10 minutes to save your marriage, or your relationship. You don't have to be married. We all have 10 minutes. We've probably got a lot more than 10 minutes at the moment. So this is something that you can apply during this time, but you can also apply, obviously, once we're back to normality and once ISO is over. But I think it's definitely something that we learned and we've applied to our life, and it's really, we've seen the fruit of it. So I'm never gonna share something unless I've done it myself and I've seen the benefit, and we've seen in our marriage. So there's just a few steps, and I probably can't send it out. That's all right. If you want to take notes or anything, you can. If not, watch this back later and maybe you can do that. It's pretty easy. Don't worry, I'm not going to give you a full
Yeah. So it's really the benefit of sharing it now is now you have that little bit of extra time to establish something like this in your relationship, that when things go back to being normal, it'll be something that, trust us, it'll be one of the best things that you can carry over out of this time. And last week, where we shared about self-care, which was, for us, that's the most important thing. As parents, you often get things flipped around the wrong way, where people are like, it's all about sacrificing for your kids. Well, if you can learn to turn the tables on that to it being all about yourself first, and it's not selfish, Like everyone always says, oh, you need to be selfless, think of yourself less. And I really think that that's quite a negative mindset to have for your own self-worth. But if you can think of yourself and how am I going? How do I need to engage in my mental, emotional, physical health to be the best I can be? Then you can think of others. Then you can work for others. But you can only give out what you've got inside of you. So that's what last week we were talking about our self-care. Today we're talking about the next in that run. Okay, so the first is looking after yourself. The second is your relationship. Then you can go to your kids. Then you can look at your workplace and things like that after that. Because if I'm in a good place myself and Lauren's in a good place and then we're in a good place together, then our boys are benefiting from that.
Yeah, and with saying that, because I always share that the level, obviously, you feed your kids and you look after your kids. We're not saying to put them to one side by any means, but it is just that, taking the time to look after yourself and your relationship, because if your kids are in a happy home and they're seeing mutual love, they're seeing that respect, then they're going to benefit from that. So I think that's really important. So, 10 minutes to save your marriage. So there's a few steps. So essentially when you come home, but we're all home at the moment, but the first step is to...
So we'll share this just based on it not being ISO, because this is going to end and then we'll go back to normality. And some of you are already like this anyway. Some of you still have a family member, whether it be yourself or your partner, still working.
Yeah, that's true. That makes it easier. So when either you or your partner get home, so for example, if Mark's been at work and I'm at home with the kids, then the first thing that you should do, or that Mark should do, is to come home, is to be intentional to come to me, to greet me first. So I know the kids, my boys run up and go, oh my gosh, daddy, 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 which is beautiful, but just to make it really clear to your partner and to your kids that the moment that you're coming in after your day, the first thing that you're going to is to say hello to your partner, give them a kiss, be affectionate, show that to your children, because that's actually showing that they're your priority. And I know it's really easy just to be distracted, or I'll just quickly make this call or whatever. And then it's half an hour later and you haven't even acknowledged your partner. And that does happen. But if you can just, the moment that you get in, I work full time and Mark is a stay-at-home dad, so we've done both. But it's literally, even when you're at the door and you're preparing yourself to come in, because you might have had a tough day at work or whatever, but just go, no, okay, I'm entering the family home now. And then you shift from work to life, home life, and go in, and the first thing is you go straight to your partner and you give them a kiss, you give them a cuddle, you say, hi babe, whatever, it's so nice to be home. And that works. It's showing, Mark showing me that I'm a priority, and it's showing your children that this is a really powerful and an important relationship.
Yeah, and again, it's not like you're dismissing them when they run up. Yeah. So and it takes a while for them to get used to it, even though we've had this sort of thing established for years now, it still takes each child as they grow, they understand the concept of it more and more. So as Thomas and now Billy are learning it, when I get home, it used to just be, Daddy. Now they yell out, Mummy, Daddy's home. So they can already see that there's that connection and that priority. I need to let Mummy know that Daddy's home because they're going to want to talk. And I walked through the door, I say hi to the boys, give them a rub on the head or a quick cuddle, but I go to Lauren and be deliberate, make sure that I am spending that time, that we have the physical touch as well as the emotional and mental connection at the same time. And then we go on to the next stages, and we then come back to the boys after that, but they can see that this is what's the most important relationship, because there's nothing more important to children, or I shouldn't say nothing, but one of the most important things to children is stability at home. And the best way to show that is in your connection with each other and modelling that to them very front and centre in everything that you do.
And I should say, from our background, like my parents separated when I was 8, and Mark's parents are still together. So we've seen both sides. So I don't think that we've, grown up in the happy, perfect home, and we, like I didn't have that growing up. So just to canvass that as well. And then secondly, lost my thing, is so to actually have a small plate of food, like whether it be some cheese and Vickies or pretty much whatever, just literally a small plate ready to go, and a glass of wine or a tea or a scotch or whatever, just something ready for when your partner gets home, so that you can therefore have some dedicated time with him or her.
And again, we've done this both ways. So when I was stay-at-home dad and Lauren was working in law, I'd do the same, have it ready for when we come home. So again, what that looks like practically for us at the moment is I would come in, we've met, we've established that connection first. I then go to the boys, greet them, cuddle them, ask them quickly. And I don't get into a lot of their day and things like that yet, but I just say, okay, guys, what would you like to do? While I'll give them a choice. You can do some colouring or drawing, or to be honest, you don't even worry about what they're doing. It's crucial that they're engaged in something so it doesn't cut across your time. So usually it'll just be they get to watch their favourite show. TV may not have been on for a while. We would usually leave the TV off in the lead up, knowing that it's going to come back on. So you just want them engaged in something so that it's not going to cut across that time with you. And then after they're set up, we then go, usually if the weather's nice, we go outside onto the deck, and that's where we have that food ready and the chat starts.
And guys, it's 10 minutes. Like, your kids can entertain themselves for 10 minutes. I know that might sound, I know when they're really little, but
it's a Bluey episode, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they're 7 minutes. But,
7 minutes.
It's funny that I know that to the point. But yeah, and I know even for these meetings that we've had, like, the boys get so excited when Mummy and Daddy have a meeting, which is our virtual cuppa and our sessions, because they know that they get snacks, that they get to watch TV. So if you do it in a way that they're excited, that's fine.
Yeah.
So you get the kids settled and say, okay, and make it clear to them as well that this is Mummy and Daddy's time, not just like, okay, guys, watch TV, and get them to understand it so that they can actually observe and go, wow, so when Daddy gets home, he gives Mummy a kiss and a cuddle, and then they go and they have their time together. And that's something that you're really instilling them as prioritising the relationship for, when they're older, and just, the power of, keeping that time. So get them settled and say, okay, this is Mummy and Daddy's time. It's 10 minutes. You watch your show. We're going to be out here. And in that as well, that also teaches your children boundaries, which is so important. And I think especially at this time in ISO, we are available. We are available to them all the freaking time. But to actually say, no, this is Mummy and Daddy's time, and to make that really clear. And if they do come out during that time, stop what you're doing and actually say, this is Mummy and Daddy's time. And again, just really keep reiterating it and saying, do you think that this is like fun for Mummy, or do you think that Mummy likes this, that you're, not interrupting, but like actually get them to understand what they're doing and that this is really crucial time. And then obviously if you need to.
If you need to, there's consequences as well. So for us, they've got a step that they go to if they're not listening to Mummy and Daddy. And usually we just give them those two options. We just say, okay, TV or step, which one? Oh, but I just want TV or step. It can wait. And again, they get trained in that, and the older ones can sometimes end up helping train the younger ones at the same time because they see them respond. And now it's just over time, now particularly with Thomas, Billy's still getting it a little bit, but if Thomas tries to come in on a conversation, we just need to go, and that's it, and he walks away. Because he knows that it's just not now, this isn't the time, we're talking. And that's now translated into so many other things as well. If we're just having a conversation throughout the day, Thomas loves to just come up and instantly say the top the first thing off the top of his head. I know he is completely unlike any other 6-year-old. But all we need to do then is go, and he just stops and waits. And there's other strategies you can use with that where they can just tap you and you just go, okay, acknowledge them, and then they wait at the same time. But again, it's protecting this time and having those boundaries in place and transferring that boundary into everything that you do. They know that they can't just always have their own way or say what they want to say or do what they want to do. And you're establishing some great strategies and skills in their own life that they know for the rest of their life. If someone else is talking, I don't just go up and interrupt them. Wouldn't that be a great skill for so many people that you interact with each day?
Yeah, and I should say as well, you know, this is, we're saying, you know, when you get home from work, but we recognise like different schedules. Like I know Tanya's watching and, you know, she might be on a farm or, you know, like working late hours or things like that. So you just try and find 10 minutes in your day. It might be having breakfast together, having coffee together. So, you know, apply, you know your life, you know the time that's best. And so then we go outside and we have our 10 minutes and we talk. Now, the most important thing, kids are screaming. The most important thing during this time is that you can only talk about positive. Because what actually happens, and I'm sure that you will all agree with this, like if, for example, if if Mark's coming home and it's like 5 o'clock, I've been at home with the kids all day, and Mark comes home and he's had a really full-on day, and then you almost, when you talk and you don't even realise, but you're actually
when you're sharing negatives.
Yeah, it's almost like you're competing against one another for who had the worst day, and whether you realise it or not, but you're actually subconsciously trying to tell your partner, I've got nothing left to give today. So, you know, if Mark comes home and like the kids, oh my gosh, the kids have been like so tough, I'm freaking knackered, blah, 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 blah. That's me basically saying, you need to step up tonight because I don't have the capacity. And similarly, Mark will be like, oh my gosh, I had the worst day and oh, it was like this and I'm so tired. Again, not intentional, but probably just showing like, just, you know, FYI, babe, I don't really want to do bed and bath tonight because I'm knackered. Whereas if you come out and you've got 10 minutes where you only talk about positive things, and we've had experiences, I still remember this vividly, Mark was like, so how was your day? And I'm like, this was when I was practicing in law, and I'm like, well, it wasn't truly heinous. I didn't want to kill everyone I came into contact with, and so you can have a bit of fun with it because, you know, it's still real. Like, it's, life is bloody tough.
It's not about being fake in it, but what this is self-care for your relationship. So you don't want to bring the negativity into that. And what you find when you do that, and you so I leave my day at the door, the negatives at the door for that time. It doesn't mean we don't talk about it. We talk about it later, but that's just like we're protecting that time from the kids interrupting, we're protecting it from the negativity interrupting as well. Because if you lock in that 10 minutes and it's positive what you're sharing about, and you're sharing about hopeful things as well, what you then do is you energize each other and you come out of that talk ready to go into the rest of the day, which is the dinner, bed, bath routine, which, as we know, with young kids or old kids, just kids in general, it can be quite exhausting. So having that energy spike, and it's your emotional, your physical, your mental health can come back up and you're ready to go in. So I think with it as well, giving some tips on how to share and what to share. So I think we covered a little bit of that last week. But when you're sharing it and you're like, well, how do I be positive if I've had a horrible day? Well, it's also hard to be positive in this time at the same time. So what we've been sharing about is not just things, because we've been around each other all day, so we talk about what's been our favourite thing about the day or positive from the day. Yes, you can do that. But also we've been sharing a lot more about what we hope for in the future and what we're looking for in the future. So we're about to move house. We talk about the new house that we're moving to, how it's a dream house that we've always wanted to rent in, and
how it's going to change our life,
yeah.
and because we're really on top of each other at the moment, and we're moving to a bigger house, so it is that, oh, how amazing is it going to be, and think about when we're going to be able to entertain on that deck, and there's a pool, and oh, think about how much fun the kids going to have. So yeah.
So it's having that. So you're looking at the past. So you're looking for the positives in the past, present, and future in that 10 minutes. And it's 10 minutes. It's not long to actually get all of that stuff in and out. And when we say 10 minutes, we don't mean, okay, the timer's set a timer for 10 minutes and you're up. It's that you're setting aside a minimum of 10 minutes. You might find the conversation goes so well and it's still going 20, 30 minutes later. Great. You're going to come out of that really pumped up and connecting more and ready to go.
Yeah. And being positive in this 10 minutes, it actually kills resentment, because I know that in your marriage and in your relationship, there's often a lot of resentment, and not again intentionally. Like if I've been stuck at home with the kids and they've been feral, and then Mark cruises in and I'm like, oh, he's like had a lunch break and I couldn't even pee by myself, and I'm like hating on him, and I can see some smiles. You know what I'm talking about, ladies. But and it's not Mark's fault, because he's been at work and he's been making money, which he needs to do. And, whereas equally he could be like stressed to the eyeballs, and he's like walked in and he's like, Lauren's been, not that,
No,
Lauren's been chilling at home.
No, but it is a good point, because so we all know that it's 1 in 2 women suffer from postnatal, 1 in 5, sorry, suffer from postnatal depression. But what a lot of most people don't know is that 1 in 10 males or fathers suffer from a form of postnatal depression as well. And what I attribute some of that to, obviously, you change your whole identity as you've got to go from being a boy to being many go from being a boy to being a dad. They haven't ever become the man. That's a whole other conversation. But
in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but at work, the studies also show that the last 2 hours of a father's work time are their most least productive, because they're thinking, when I get home, okay, how's it going to be? Is it going to be that she's had a horrible day and I've got to come in and just pick it up? I've had a horrible day at work too, but I want to help out. So you've actually, this 10 minutes to save your marriage can negate a lot of that. So instead of, what am I looking forward to? What's the first thing when I get home? I'm going to connect with my wife. We're going to have a great chat. So it changes things, and your productivity at work, whoever's working, doesn't matter if it's the husband or the wife, whoever's working or whoever's out of the home at the time, you might both be out of home. This works there as well. Whoever gets home first gets stuff sorted, so that when the next person does, when the next person comes home, you can get into this as well. So,
and I think that's really important what Mark said, to know that if you make this a practice in your life and make it a priority, where possible, if you can do it when, like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I know it's hard with kids eating and stuff, but 10 minutes. And then like Mark knows that when he comes in, like, we're going to go out, we're going to be positive, and we're going to have this time together. And then you actually come together, and we've noticed it, you come together as a team because you've sort of set the tone for the house. The kids are a lot more, like, usually they're a bit crazy at the moment, but a bit more placid, because they know that we're in a better space. Kids are very intuitive, they pick it up, and you come together, and it's not going to be perfect, but you're coming together on the same page, so that then when you're like, okay, well, all right, well, I'll do bath, you clean up or whatever. And there is also still a space where, you still need to talk about things that have happened during the day, and that is so important to have communication during this time. But one thing as well, just one little takeaway, is if you've had like negative or difficult things, try not to talk about it in bed. because that's actually a place of rest, and that's a place where you want to be, you know, at your most rested. And except for when I got kicked out of bed by bloody Billy this morning, but that's a whole nother story. But to, you know, and we've found this as well, like often you'll get into bed and, you know, finances is obviously a big stress for a lot of us and has been for many years for us. And then you're fine because you're finally in the one room and you're like, okay, oh, did you pay that bill? And oh, what are we going to do that? Just stop talking, because that's not the place where you need to. And even again with this 10 minutes, having it, I think a lot of people go, oh, we'll wait till the kids are in bed. But I don't know about you guys. I know I'm pregnant. But by 8:30, once the kids are all done and you've cleaned up and all that, who has time to sit there and be positive about the day? I just want to either, you know, basically just fall on a heap and go to bed. And that's not when you're going to be able to give the best to your partner anyway and be that positive. So if you can do it as soon as you get home, I think that's really important. And like we said, 10 minutes, and I know Amanda has been doing mindset with us about, you know, she's doing 4-minute workouts. It's just things to not give us overload. It's like, oh, not another thing we've got to add. It's 10 minutes. If you can get to it, amazing. If there's days that you don't, that's okay. Just try and be better the next day.
And during ISO, while you're both, if you're both home, that is, a great strategy to use there is just an afternoon cover, something like that, where you just go, okay, at this time each day, we're going to stop what we're doing and we're going to go and activate that and get started. You will notice the benefit in doing 10 minutes to save your marriage, not from doing it, but when you miss it. The days that you miss doing it and you're off, ask yourself, did we do the 10 minutes to save your marriage? Did we do these? Are we putting these strategies in place to connect here? Because if you're not connecting here, you're going to end up going off on different paths throughout the day. So this connection allows you to have that one vision. This is our vision for our life together. But if you're not doing that connection properly, where you're talking about the positives, where you're talking about how great the day was, what you're looking forward to, then you're both going to be slightly off. It's like a railway line. If you have it each track slightly off, eventually the train derails and things come.
And also, where possible, try not to talk about your kids. Like, try to talk about, like, this is about you guys, and this is the whole premise of Mums and Dads Who Wine, is to talk about your own self-care, your own journey.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about, for example, the new house, we talk about, oh my gosh, how exciting is it going to be to, you know, have our friends around and to be, because we love doing that, and that's what fills our cup. So that's what we talk about. We're not like, oh, the kids will have more room. Like we care about kids, but it's like, no, we're going to be working together to do something that fills our cup and impacts our friends. So
just put on that as well, not talking about the kids, you can, I'd really suggest, we've brought a lot of this in, and it's just been naturally, particularly over the last couple of weeks, over dinner time, you can bring, it's almost like 10 minutes to save your family. So deliberately sitting at the table, it's very tempting in this time to go and eat other places and be all out of stew, but we sit at the table and we sit down, and as we start eating, we'll ask, so what was your favourite part about the day? And so we're bringing that strategy in with that's when you can talk about things with the kids that relate to the family, not the partnership.
And you can also see where they're at. Like, it's usually the best part of their day is doing wrestles on the trampoline with Mark, which again is like 5-10 minutes out of the day, but that's the highlight of the day.
Yeah.
So you actually don't, you know, just having these key little pockets of time where you're intentional with your relationship, with your children. We're all trying to do a million things at once, but just setting aside that time and making it a priority and guarding it and recognizing that, you know, you deserve it, your marriage, your relationship deserves it, and you will see the fruit from it. And even, you know, over periods of time, I hope you see it immediately, but if not, persevere with it, because I guarantee that you and your family will benefit, because I know we have. And as I said, I would never sit here and share something that I haven't personally tried and have seen the benefit, because that's just not who I am, obviously. So I hope that's helped, guys. And if anyone has any questions or follow-up or feedback or more things, like, as I said, these virtual cuppers, this is something we've wanted to do for a while, because we feel we've got these little keys that we've picked up along the way, as a lot of you probably have as well. and as I said, like it is just about giving back, and hopefully that this can help support you guys during ISO or just during life, support your family, because that's what we're really passionate about. So Tanya, thank you for sharing. This will be wonderful to implement. Oh, thanks, Tan, all the way from Horsham. It's so nice to see your face.
Just a quick tip before we go with just mums out there with your partners. One key, the reason why we eat is it actually gives you something to do, and for men more often than not, for them to be able to talk, they need to have something that's going on at the same time for them to open up. So you won't see your husband, or you rarely see your husband just sit on the phone to a mate just to have a great deep chat. If they are, they've probably got a beer in their hand, but if they're ever going out with their mates, it's going out to have a drink or play golf or something that they're doing, and during that time is where they connect. So that's why we eat, and eating is just something that humans have connected over millennia. It's a proven way to establish connection. And then when it comes to helping bring your partner in on that, if you've got a plate of food, it could just be crackers and some cheese, it doesn't matter, and a drink or their favourite drink or something set up for the first one to go with, you'll hook them from then on. And because you're only talking about things that are positive anyway, you're away and going.
And they get to have a beer while they're doing it.
Yeah.
So
beer, scotch, whatever it is.
In 8 weeks, I'll be having a wine with it. Don't you worry. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. Now, just a reminder. Oh, thanks, Jess. It's so great to see Jess on there as well. And Christy. Oh, I love you guys. You're beautiful. I love seeing all your faces and your little baby faces as well. Hi, Isla. See Brittany's daughter. Anyway, I'm going to distract by babies. So our next session is at 3 p.m. and that is Pilates. So I would really encourage you, as I've dropped my phone, if you could, it's beautiful. It's a 30-minute session. It's so good for your body to get it moving. And then tomorrow we have our virtual couple with Anna Owens, who owns It by Anna. It's an incredible, it's an incredible fashion label, and she's a beautiful mum. I'm good friends with her. Our self-care Saturday, just wanted to quickly, because I haven't shared too much about this, is Gabrielle Patterson, and she is actually going to be sharing her own personal story about postnatal depression. She's one of our affiliates. She's a health and nutrition and mindset coach, which has come about through her journey of PND. As you know, we're avid supporters of Panda and raising awareness about that. So please jump on. We also have a 9 a.m. fitness session in the morning, and Sunday, you would have got an email, but we're doing a family cooking class at 2 o'clock for beautiful Italian pizzas. So it's something fun to do with kids. It means you've got dinner sorted, and yeah, just something a bit different and interactive. So just register for that. Brittany's like, yum, yes, do it, Britt. Their pizzas are amazing. All right, guys, I love you. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you soon. And thank you.
Bye.